land of the Native Americans used to be peaceful and tranquil, free from American influence, culture, and violence. The natives wandered their land, free to do as they pleased. The Native American way of life would soon be interrupted by the United States' westward expansion. In 1871, Congress passed the Indian Appropriations Act, which considered all Indians in America as wards of the government. This legislation allowed the government to assimilate the natives more easily than before. Those who once enjoyed freedom from the United States democracy were forced to assimilate into its culture, which became a behavior that resulted in rebellion.
The Americans walk into the native camp. They speak with the native official.
According to the Homestead Act, this land is for Americans, not Indians. Your land is on those reservations over there.
The American says, the Native American was not pleased with the comment the United States soldier said.
I do not want to leave my homeland.
The Native American spoke out against the United States soldier, asking him to leave kindly, or else force will be used. Another soldier speaks out to the Native American.
Too bad, that's government property now. These brand new reservations are just like your homeland anyway. You'll be free to roam, hunt, and live as you please.
The reservations were not as fine and dandy as the Americans described them to be. The land was dry and not large enough to fulfill their nomadic lifestyle. They were forced to farm, which the land did not allow them to do anyway, and live on one piece of land for the rest of their lives. These factors increased the death rate of the Indians. The Americans did their best to assimilate the native tribes as quickly as they could. They established schools on the reservations that sought to Americanize Indian children. The government did what was best for its own country's desires, but with all of its attempts to assimilate the natives, a rebellion seemed inevitable. Groups of Native Americans like this one would not put up with the mistreatment of their people. The Native Americans would often rebel, but most failed due to the unfair advantages of American weaponry and the difference in the number of troops. Native Americans were also persecuted for their cultural traditions that were deemed to be unlawful by the Americans. The American government, military, and citizens all dismantled major parts of Indian culture through massacre of buffalo in the Midwest, banning of the ghost dance, and forceful movement off of sacred homelands.
The Native American speaks with the soldiers of the United States.
The treatment of our people is outlandish and uncalled for. If you do not end this, you will have no choice but to resist from your undesired chains.
The American soldier talked back to the Native American.
Do as you please, but I warn you, we will use force that you and your people will not be able to handle.
Just wait. You savages will not know what is coming. Our forces will obliterate you, and you will be forced to move.
After 1 month, the Indian finally gave up.
All right, I cannot take this. It is time for battle.
After the many battles fought between the two groups, Congress passed a legislation that increased its efforts to assimilate the natives. The Dawes Act of 1887 broke up reservations and gave 80 to 160 acres of land to each Indian family. Obviously, it completely went against the natives' nomadic lifestyle because they were forced to farm on one piece of land, prohibiting them from hunting. This served as a final blow to what remained of the native culture.